AITA for not calling out my family for being sexist towards my wife. 26M moved from Pakistan to the US 6 years ago and met my wife, 24F, 2 years later. We've been married for a year and are expecting our first child. She's a third-generation Pakistani-American Muslim who had little exposure to Pakistan or other Pakistani people before meeting me. We're both non-practicing Muslims. I visit Pakistan yearly to see my family. I used to go alone while we were dating since my parents didn't know about us. But once we got married, I told them. Surprisingly, they accepted her easily. This year, my wife wanted to come with me to explore her roots, inspired by YouTube vlogs about northern Pakistan. We had discussed her coming before, but I'd mainly told her negative things about the country, how sexist it is and how poorly women are treated, which is true, and one reason I left. Honestly, I was also a little embarrassed about her finding out where I grew up. I was pretty poor in Pakistan, living in a bad part of the city, while she's from a wealthy American family. Yes, it's a douchey thing to say, but I was embarrassed. I told her she could come but would need to cover up, hijab, and hide her opinions from my relatives. She said her online Pakistani friends told her hijab isn't necessary, especially if you're from the upper middle class or upper class, which most of her friends are. I agreed she didn't have to wear hijab but should wear shalwar kameez, traditional Pakistani attire, and be prepared for a lot of stares. We landed in Pakistan. Upon arrival in Lahore, she was overwhelmed by the pollution and the large welcoming party of relatives. The next day she went for a walk alone without telling anyone, causing panic as it's uncommon for women to go out alone. My parents advised her, but my father's tone was harsh. She was upset by the stares and my father's reaction. I told her I had warned her about this. During our stay, some relatives made sexist comments about hijab and a woman's role in marriage, mostly when women were alone. They said things like, "You should start wearing hijab, it's compulsory in Islam, or you should take care of your husband well, so serve him." A religious auntie said, "The Prophet said the woman who talks back to her husband won't even smell paradise's scent," when she saw my wife talking a little rudely to me. These comments were made by female elders when the women in my family and she were alone, so I couldn't intervene. My wife told me about these incidents after we returned to the US. Honestly, I wouldn't have stood up for her there anyway because there's no way I could change those people's opinions. I just wanted to spend the short time there peacefully and come back. Now that we're back, she said I should have stood up for her and she felt like an object there. I said I had warned her what would happen, but she didn't listen. She's still mad after a week, accusing me of not standing by her.